before I break out that. Ah, there's more games here. Anyway, yeah, this is the second attempt of making my video. Now I like to explain what a Mary Sue is, mostly because the more common this knowledge is, the less likely I'll see of it. And I'd like for you to make your own variation of this. To copy it, paste it, add in what I left out, take away what you think is irrelevant, make as many videos as you can, basically about what a Mary Sue is, because I want this stuff to end. This is ruining comics, it's ruining games, it's ruining everything, it's ruining women. And I'll explain why. Like, one of the reasons why it's ruining everything is because they're combining the Mary Sue to give us what is known as a shit sandwich. Now, a shit sandwich is where you find everything you like and you add a little shit to it. The shit being the Mary Sue in this point. So they'll find something that you like, such as like comic books, video games, cartoons, or anything in general, and they'll add a Mary Sue to it, a female. There are some Mary Sues, and I'll get to why they're more acceptable than women in the video. But it's a female character without flaw, without weakness, without like anything. Like, it's loved by everybody. It's related to all the main characters. It has nothing, like, it's perfect in every shape and form. Nothing bad happens to this character. An example is like a 6-year-old that plays a video or goes to like a martial arts school and is a grandmaster by himself. Basically, it's like I said, it's a power fantasy for anyone who watches it. Like, it's for the people who say my character is perfect, my character can see the future. These immature little kid-like mentalities that sit there and say, well, my superhero is the most powerful superhero ever because everyone loves him and he's perfect and beautiful. And yeah, that's a Mary Sue. Like, if you take a little kid and say, I want you to make a superhero, that's a Mary Sue. Or not even a superhero, like a rapper, like any type of fantasy that little kid has. And I like to play video games that are related to the topics that I pick, which is why I picked Goat Simulator, because to me, this is a Mary Sue. Yes, this is what I feel like about Mary Sue. It's fun to watch and play on the side, but they're not really characters you get really invested in. Now, let me see an examples of Mary Sues. I'll go to like the female examples, then I'll go into some male examples, good examples and bad examples. Well, first I'll start off with the people who you normally think would be Mary Sues, but aren't. An example of this would be the Thor, Iron Man, and the Hulk. Now, remember how I said it's a power fantasy between people? Well, who has a better power fantasy than Thor, Iron Man, and the Hulk? Well, as far as it goes for Iron Man, it's his personality that people like, not his powers, everything else he does. And even if it is, he usually ends up getting beaten to a pulp because he's fighting something of equal or greater force than he is. Or he's at an extreme disadvantage, like his heart's just not working. And even then, like even in the comic books, one of the biggest enemies he has is, besides being like the only person with usually with normal powers, just the suit, one of the other weaknesses that he has is his own character. Like, he's an alcoholic, he's emotionally detached, he's a playboy, whatever you get to. Like, it's his personality that actually that's awesome. It's his personality that let's see if I try. It's his personality that ends up being his own flaw. And the same thing can be said with the other characters. Like even Captain America, who's supposed to be the perfect man in all areas, his weakness is that he's not part of the timeline anymore. He is completely irrelevant. So now it's more along the lines of this boomer generation trying to get used to the Zoomers. That there is like a conflict, like the old generation mixing with the young generation. Anyway, the next thing is besides Iron Man with and Captain America, I said what was I said? The Hulk. The Hulk has he actually is a character with PTSD that you wind up by getting him angry and making him attack people you don't like. Like if you had like an uncle or a son or a father or someone who came from the war that has severe PTSD, you just threw him in the room for people you don't like with firecrackers and let him just go ham on everybody. Like that's the Hulk. Someone who has psychological trauma as a child, who takes his aggression out on people when he gets angry. Like, that's a character flaw. Now, Mary Sue's don't have this character flaw. They can't have psychological traumas. They have to always be hip. They can't have any weaknesses or flaws like addictions or substances. And this loses a lot of momentum for the character. Like, this makes the character like weak. And the same thing goes with Thor. Like, Thor is constantly overcoming some type of a threat greater than him, and he's actually being humiliated, I think, in like every one of his movies. Like, there's a movie where he was turned into a slave gladiator and forced to fight against his will. He's constantly being dehumanized, basically, one way or another. Yeah, I am Goatzilla. But anyway, those are like character flaws that a lot of male characters have that a lot of female characters don't have. Now, there are some examples of male characters that don't have many or any flaws. That'd be like DC characters, like Batman and Superman, in which case they go through the same thing. They create a kryptonite for these characters, and that balances the playing field, because one of the challenges they had with Superman was finding someone that can fight him on equal footing. And that's one of the things that a lot of people didn't like about Superman, because of how perfect he was. He is either borderline or fits the definition of a Marty Sue. But the difference between Superman and a lot of these other Mary Sues is he was written by people with a good character, with a good conscience and goodwill. He is like the Boy Scout. He actually humbles himself, puts other people first. He's a likable person. But if you look at a lot of these other Mary Sues that I'm about to mention right now, they aren't so much. They're actually very, very disrespectful. They're harpies. They're people that you normally would not want to hang around. People who just Goats actually make that sound. That's what's freaky about it. They're basically the annoying people that you normally would not want anything to do with, and they give them superpowers, and instead of having them fix their trait like they did in Thor 1, where Thor was a cocky, arrogant asshole, just like Captain Marvel was in the beginning of the movie, Thor at the end wound up becoming very peaceful. Well, he humbled himself. Where Captain Marvel, on the other hand, in comic book and in movie, just became more, well, of a dick. She became more of what we hated at the end of the movie. She didn't get a better character development, she got worse. And the reason being is because Mary Sue has to be perfect. There is no what is it? There is no flaw, there is no fake, there is no he did not do, or they did not do anything perfect. Anyway, back to the Batman. Now, as Batman goes, he's someone who has no superpowers, but at the exact same time, he fits the definition of a Mary Sue, because he is perfect pretty much in all forms of way, because he always comes up with that counterpart. I am now Hercules Goat. Live. Now, to give a better example of what a Mary Sue is like, is imagine if you combine Superman, Batman, and everybody else in the Justice League into one superhero. That's a Mary Sue, that's a Marty Sue, that's someone who has no flaws, no weaknesses. And because of that, he or she eventually gets to the point to which it's the stale character. Like, it's something that little kids don't watch, like the Umizumis. They'll do whatever it takes for them to fix the day. At the end of the day, they always have the power and always have the knowledge and always have the skills to get what they need to get done. Anyway, with that, let's get into the female examples of Mary Sue. I already mentioned one of them, which was Captain Marvel, where they gave her more than enough power to finish her mission, and her weakness was not believing in herself. So that doesn't even fit the definition of the original Captain Marvel. They added more power onto her. They made her stronger than all the Avengers, which takes away a lot from her arc, because now it's more along the lines she has this God complex, which is unearned, and It's just basically her personality is the only thing that defines it. Now, if she had like a defining personality like Captain America, or if not Captain America, like Vision, then that would be one thing. But she doesn't have that. What she has is more along the lines of a horrifying, annoying personality, which is very shrill, very bossy, it's just terrible. And the entire premise of the movie, the shit that was in the shit sandwich, was the parts that people don't normally watch, which is like this girl power, girls rule, boys drool type of video. And that was the shit in the sandwich that we had to sit there and eat to watch this character that had no challenges, had no character development, has no character arc, has nothing. And we were told that was because she was very important in this Marvel Cinematic Universe, which she wasn't. You could literally replace her with every scene that the Hulk did. And I'd rather see the Hulk do it, because the Hulk actually has like a character part. Like I said, he's the PTSD person. And when he gets angry, it's something that people like to see, because it's him battling with his rage. And you gotta deal with now the drunk, angry, PTSD-ridden uncle that just snapped. Excuse me. That just snapped because of, well, reasons. I don't want to be mini goat. No! Bigger. Anyway, besides, what was I? There we go. Massive beef steak. Captain Marvel, you have Rey, and Rey's a prime example of everything that's wrong with Mary Sue, simply because of, she's related to all the main characters for starters. She learns things that other people can't do, and she learns it faster. Like, she learns it instantly. Like, all you gotta do is tell us, like, oh yeah, I can do that. What about that? Oh yeah, I can do that. What about this part here? It took me years to learn. Oh yeah, I can do that too. Well then, what part of it is the challenge for her? Like, there is no challenge. This is fan service. This is the equivalent of a guy who sits there and says, I can have any girl I want, all I gotta do is snap my fingers and I have her. Like, that's how annoying. For all the women that like Rey, that's what Rey is. Now, like, the unrealistic, yes. I am part of the truck. I wonder how this is gonna happen. Alright, but yeah, that's Rey. There's other examples like the Marvel Cinematic Universe girls in every movie, such as Ant-Man, or any of them. Like the Black Panther, there's always a very much stronger female counterpart with no weaknesses that can do everything that they need machines to do. Like in Ant-Man, you have quantum physics girl that can have the power of all quantums, and she can control it at will, or whatever. As well as you have black female Tony Stark at Black Panther. You have all these overpowered females who don't really have a need to exist in there, and pretty much everyone that's female in there is stronger, overpowered as it is. You'll see that in a lot of movies today. Like, there will be characters in there that are just perfect from all angles, that are really designed as though, like, this is how things really are, but really it's mostly comic relief. It's mostly it's not meant to be serious in the real world. It makes the movie seem jokish in a lot of places, like when you see in other spots. But an example of where people take it to where it's pretty much serious would be can I flip you this girl? That is a massive goat. That is a bull. Hold up. Alright, anyway. In the MCU, like it said, it's overpowered girls with no weaknesses that are second banana. They're like the mini god complex when it comes to those characters. Let me see, what else is there besides another example is how this kind of like flopped in Birds of Prey. Like, Birds of Prey wasn't so much a Mary Sue video as it was because all the girls in it never did anything wrong. I could only get like 10 minutes into Birds of Prey. Like 10 minutes into the Birds of Prey, and I already understood what it was. It was a power trip for a bunch of girls that got out and got drunk, and it's a type of movie that would follow a bad rom-com, a breakup movie that would follow a bad rom-com, and that's all it was. Anyway, I kind of seen this level enough. That was all I seen from Birds of Prey. Like, I couldn't finish watching the movie. Like, I made it halfway through, and it's like, no, this is enough. Let me see, what else is there? Another one is in video games. Like, pretty much every video game you play, the strongest characters are the females. Star Wars version. Nope, gotta pay for that one too. Gotta pay for that one. Pay for that one. Alright. Further examples, Black Widow. Now, Black Widow was actually a very good character. She wasn't a Mary Sue, and they actually had a very in-depth character arc with her, where she was basically, she said she was made infertile and couldn't have kids, and a whole bunch of people apparently got really, really aggressive and angry about that and wanted her removed from the superheroes list because she was no longer like loved as a character. Like, they said, we gotta get rid of her, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, there's a scene where she has to die. She was actually a really good character. Like, she actually started, she fit the definition of a Mary Sue up until she had her humanity, where she had that moment where she expressed emotional weakness because she wasn't unable to have children, and they killed her for it because women have to be perfect. Are you serious? But then again, that's my opinion on why they did it. But she was actually a really good character. Like, she fit the definition of Mary Sue until that part there. And even though she was the weakest, like, she never really showed any form of weakness or any form of inferiority towards anybody else. She was a spy. And in a lot of spots, it's usually those characters, such as within Batman, that have those weaknesses that end up doing the most damage when it comes to, well, these comic book series, because they wind up being over or underestimated. And yeah, that was Black Widow for a time period. But anyway, another example of an overpowered superhero would be Squirrel Girl. The Squirrel Girl. For those of you that don't know, Squirrel Girl is I can't speak today. A superhero modeled kind of like after Spider-Man when it comes to power-wise. She's a girl that has all the powers of a squirrel who took out Thanos single-handedly, and they consider this canon. I don't consider it canon because it just abuses Thanos. It abuses Marvel Universe. It makes everyone else in the entire MCU look weak and pathetic in comparison, and I can't respect a superhero that does that without some type of justification. Like, they gotta show us how they did it. I don't believe she did it. I believe like Thor or someone came in there and jacked Thanos while Squirrel Girl wasn't looking or something. But anyway, like, that's me talking about like the female Mary Sues. Like, there are far more examples like in the comics, and I can name like a lot of video game characters that are much like this Goat Simulator. You're completely perfect in any way and can't show any weakness. And any time that the goat wants, you can just always go through and just equip whatever power you want. Like, let me see, what power do I want? I want powers. Feather Goat? No, I don't want to be Feather Goat. I will be Angel Goat, Ripped Goat, and with Double Jump. That's what goat I want to be. I am Angel Goat with Double Jump and Slow Float. Slow Fall. Let me see, which one was Slow Fall again? There was Triangle. That's how I activate my abilities. Whatever I want, I can have happen. That is Mary Sue. Ah! Except that doesn't happen. Anyway, back to, what is it? Yeah, the male versions of Mary Sue. Now, there are several versions of male Mary Sue, such as Iron Man. Well, not Iron Man, One Punch Man. I already talked about Iron Man. Now, One Punch Man is, by definition, a Mary Sue, you would normally think, because he's overpowered and he is humble. But the thing is, he's got a very bland and pointless personality stripe. And that there's like his own downfall on what he can and can't do. I will free you, my children, the only way I know how. I will try to free you. I give up on freeing you. Anyway, that's but he does have like several flaws. Like for instance, some of the most interesting parts in One Punch Man isn't so much the fight scenes that he does, but the fight scenes that other people do. And his character flaw does like drown out the weaknesses that he has. But anyway, let me go back onto the other part about One Punch Man, like other Mary Sue characters. Another Mary Sue character is Sword Art Online. Now, Sword Art Online is basically a video game character where the character has like unlimited stats when it comes to speed, and because of that, he gets other perks such as being able to wield 2 swords at once, and he's just overall a little bit faster than all the other characters. And because of that, he's actually superior in a way when it comes to like the gameplay and stuff. But even this part here, he does have parts where he's shown weakness as well as character flaws. And it's the fact that he's emotionally distraught over either him or someone else losing that makes the character basically branch out and grow. But either way, that's like another example of I guess you could say another example of like a male version that's close to being a Mary Sue, but not quite close. Now, time for me to get into characters that are 100% accurate Mary Sues that are males. Now, these ones go into like my comic book genre, and it's basically a bunch of people who ripped off One Punch Man as well as Sword Art Online and a couple other comic books because they lack the creativity to make their own, I guess. But one example would be, let me see, what does this do? Alright, so I can't do that. One example would be, let me see, what do I have in here? Actually, no, I forgot to talk about DBZ. DBZ would be a very Mary Sue character, especially for Goku's sake. But the problem with making Goku a DBZ character is, well, he's potato. He's potato brain. And on top of that, people die in there, like, all the time. I get the death's not as important for the Dragon Ball Z characters as it is in other anime and other shows, but it's still the fact that these characters have like some type of humanity that prevents them from showing a weakness or prevents them from being overpowered. But yeah, that's the DBZ thing. Like there is character flaws in there. There is character development, such as when Goku was wrong and Gohan almost got massacred by Cell, and he realized that his son's about to die because of his cocky attitude. Or the same thing that happens with Vegeta. It's usually their pride and everything that gets in their way. But yeah, now time to for the full-on Mary Sue characters that are men, Marty Sues. Alright, so the first, I'm going to name like a list of these. It's a solo leveling, a hardcore leveling warrior, overlord, god of martial arts, Monster Ree, and yeah, that's the top ones I got written down. Now, Monster Ree, the main character reincarnates as a goblin, which is very, very weak and bottom of the totem pole. But he is not seen as weak because he has this one ability that he had before he reincarnated, and that's whatever he eats, he gains the power of. So if he eats like a slime, he now has slime attacks. If he eats a rabbit, he now has a double strike because the rabbit had double strike. If he eats a lot of the rabbits, he'll eventually gain all the abilities of the rabbit. Now, the thing I hate about this is not only does this give him the ability to absorb the abilities of animals, but he does the same thing for objects as well. So he can absorb the ability of like a sword that has a triple strike. He'll eat like straight up swords and gain their abilities. Now, At first, I was watching this because I figured like a strong person is going to obviously have a strong villain to fight, and there was a few of them, but now I'm no longer like invested into it because he got more abilities than I could count. He's basically all for one from My Hero Academia, and the biggest problem with that is for him to have multiple abilities and be able to use multiple abilities at once and combine all the abilities at once. At this point, it feels like he's just making stuff up as he battles, and it's not like interested. And the whole thing is fan service. Like, he is a male Marty Sue. Like, what I mean by fan service, I mean he has like 6 women who sleep with him because he saved their lives and they're indebted to him, and they're all beautiful, gorgeous babes. And it's just terrible. But anyway, aside from that example of Marty Sue, like the only reason I'm reading that one is I come back from time to time is because there was one scene where a giant centipede monster working for like a bug summoner almost killed him, and he had to unlock this bug armor so that he could fight it. Now, the bug armor wasn't cool in its slightest, and it's getting to the point where everything's repetitive and boring and stale. I don't know what he's doing or what is going on because his powers are all over the place. But the one thing I do want to see about him is I want to see him be challenged. I want to see him get close to just basically dying. And I don't want to see that because I hate the character. I want to see that because I want to see the character's growth. I want to see the challenge. I want to see him basically prove his worth, prove his power, and or if not challenge. I'm not even like invested in it. Like, I think there's like 8 chapters that just came out that I haven't read yet. But that's monster-y. If you want to see like a character that's just obviously fan service, to where at one point he used his ability that he gained from a spider and a slime and some other stuff to make a tentacle monster. To become a tentacle monster to fuck all his women at the same time. And the whole spider part was basically so he can make this web aphrodisiac ball so no one else can see it but him. And the longer they were in there, the more they liked it. It's ridiculous. It's fan service. But anyway, the next one on the list, I guess, would be Hardcore Leveling Warrior. Now, the thing with Hardcore Leveling Warrior is, yeah, Hardcore Leveling Warrior is an overpowered Mary Sue-like character, but he's also an asshole. And the whole thing with him being an asshole in that matter is that, like, really takes away from his character and makes him a little less liked. Where all these characters are, and people hate him for it too. Like, they call him all types of names, snub, snob, and that's Hardcore Leveling Warrior. He's basically a character who has a gamble skill and started off the entire comic as a level 999 character with full maxed out stats. Even though he was a gamble character, he had like maximum warrior stats, maximum, yeah, I know that guy. Let's see if you can fly. Ha! That's my ability. Where was I? But he winds up, if he loses one match, all his level and his stats go back down to 1. And he has to like gamble, cheat, and steal his way to get back to the power he needs in order for him to maintain his position as #1 ranker. Now, this character, like I said, would be a Mary Sue, but the whole thing that is he's an asshole. And that like takes away from his ability to, well, be loved. Now, the next one is solo leveling. This one here is basically something similar to that. Everyone else's level is set, but he gets stronger and has like his own little private place that he goes to train and become stronger. And eventually becomes so powerful that he's no longer in the same class as other people. Like, he's a necromancer mage. basically, to put it simply. Whatever he kills, he can bring back to life. And he has an army of people who are just as strong as the strongest warriors, and everyone he kills makes him stronger. Now, the only reason I'm reading this one is because there's a little bit of the story arc and a question, which is how he got his powers. But other than that, like, once again, he's a character that's completely perfect. I don't like that, but he started off real wimpy and real weak, and that's like, I guess you can get with the character development and character story building arc that goes with it. But anyway, let's go on to the next one that had on the list, and that would be Overlord. Now, Overlord, once again, is like a completely overpowered character. He's basically a level, like a maxed out character from the world's strongest guild, from the world's strongest matchup and everything else like that. He's playing a game where everyone's like really low level. All the NPCs become real people, so it's kind of like a rip-off of Sword Art Online. But that one there, I stopped. I lost interest. I want to get into Overlord because he's unlike the other guy. He's actually the bad guy in the story, and I want to find out like how that develops, because a lot of people that end up starting off overpowered as Mary Sue's tend to be the good guys. And he's not a good guy. He's a bad guy. And there's one more in there. There's God of Martial Arts. Now, that one there obviously is going to start off as a Mary Sue character, or a Marty Sue character, because you actually put God in the title to describe the person. Anyway, this sad guy. Don't even know what's happening.
I think I broke something.
Now, anyway, God of Martial Arts is basically... it's Captain Marvel again. He's actually more like Ray right now. Is this one player or two player? It's two player. He's actually, like I said, he's originally started off as a worthless. Actually, he's better than Ray, because he started off worthless and getting picked down and bullied, and eventually had to like power himself up by constantly training and meditating and all this other stuff, and reading books and studying. And through his training and hard work and discipline, he wound up becoming stronger. But it's to the point now to where they obviously just made him way too strong, because he has all the powers in the entire like game franchise, or not game, but all the powers in the entire game basically. He's awesome. Let's see if I can do that while I have that. You are trapped. What I mean, like, you have a spirit animal. He originally had like this weak spirit. It turned out to be a really powerful spirit. It has the ability to eat other spirits and become stronger and absorb their power. He then eventually got two spirits, which was one spirit and the really dark spirit. The dark spirit gave him the ability to read other people's powers, as well as read other people's abilities and become stronger through reading those abilities. And he like gave him no preference. This way, if he wanted to be, say, the strongest sword spirit ever, he can study that and focus on that and learn sword spirit techniques that are faster than anyone else. So he has a snake spirit that eats spirit, and a sword and another spirit that allows him to copy whatever spirit he wants. How can he be any stronger? Well, he now has three spirits, because the snake spirit got stronger from siphoning energy from the dark spirit. And when the snake spirit ate this giant wolf demon that was about to kill him, instead of, because it outclassed him, it was way more powerful than him. Instead of killing him, what are you guys doing? Protecting the tree of light? Instead of killing him, he now eats this spirit and turns the spirit into his own. So now his spirit, he has three spirits. Now the wolf spirit, which was originally stronger than him, is now a spirit that works for him. But it doesn't stop there. It gets even more powerful. Like, eventually it turns out his snake spirit is just a weaker version of a 9-headed dragon spirit that's supposed to wipe out the legend, and that the reason why the snake spirit was purple was because his mother, who was unseen throughout the entire story, must have been related to the Z family, which has this cultivation place where they all store their power in cultivation. And here's an example, like for the Mary Sue Miss character. He basically, because he's the bloodline and the Z family elder that's inside this cultivation room that allows people to become way more powerful. Like turns people who are just completely weak and useless. Turns people who are completely weak and useless into a unmatched cultivator demigods, basically. And the thing with this is, since he says this is my last time of doing this, I'm going to give you all of my power and all of my knowledge and make it simple so that you can understand it instantly and make you even more stronger than I made anybody else, because this is going to be my last visit and I don't want to be known as a greedy person as I pass on to the afterlife. Not knowing that this character just wiped out his entire family tree. But either way, like, this is him just getting everything he wants and just being blessed with one power after another. It doesn't reflect reality. It doesn't reflect struggle. It doesn't reflect anything. And personally, in my own descriptions, I hate this type of character. The only redeeming quality he has is that he's always kind, always humble, but just like Captain Marvel and Rey, he's always painted as perfect in every way, shape, and form, which I don't like. I'm basically watching this show because I want to see him get challenged and failed and proved wrong. I want to see him mess up. This is a male Marty Sue character who's overpowered in every way, and I want to see him lose. Which is alright, because he's a garbage character design. Like, they made him too perfect. He doesn't have any development. He just gets stronger and stronger and stronger. At least his powers, unlike the other character from Monster Re, are actually in check. Like, he doesn't, like, eventually the wolf spirit that his snake spirit ate transforms into an ice spirit. Then it transforms into another spirit. And it's not like he has every spirit his snake spirit eats is inside of him. He just has unlimited spirit and just do a cutscene of him just basically going off screen, eating a bunch of other animals and gaining a bunch of other abilities that we don't know anything about. Same thing with a bunch of weapons, and they're not explaining like what these abilities do, because some of the stuff is just, it's in such a gamer jargon you couldn't understand it. But anyway, that's the example of Mary Sue's and Marty Sue's. Even the male versions of Mary Sue's, I'm really watching it because I hate the characters so much. I want them to fail so that I can measure their development as a character, not because I see them as perfect and I like to enjoy the fan service. Monster Re, I want to see what challenges this guy comes through, or because he has a hyper accelerated timeline, I want to know what happens when he gets to the end of his storyline, because he seems more like the character that would start a story, not the character that lives a story, if that makes sense. That's definitely something I got to get inside of. The God of Martial Arts story, I want to see him fail. Like, I want to see him make a mistake. I want to see him make a blunder. I don't want to see him get badly beaten and saved by somebody. I want to, because that's not his strong point. His strong point that makes me watch him isn't that he's a cocky ass, so isn't that he's overpowered. It's that he's always right because of what impeccable form of justice he has. There's nothing in here. But that's the example of a Marty Sue, of a Mary Sue. No one really likes these characters. And what's happening now in a lot of these movies is you're getting these Mary Sue characters, these Marty Sue characters. Well, not Marty Sue, it's always women for some reason. and they don't have anything interesting about them. And on top of that, the only reason why they're so garbage, because they're so perfect, so to speak, is because they don't want anybody to actually I'm gonna flip some of these goat powers to find out what repulsive goat is. I think it's a goat that farts. But yeah, that's my thing on Mary Sue's, basically.
What's that doing here?
But yeah, with that, let's get used to playing some wacky goat simulator. I gotta see what this repulsive goat power does. Where was that? There's someone. Oh, my steak is repelling.
Is that a goat?
Anyway, that's my take on the Mary Sue. It's a overpowered fan-based fan service character that has no flaws, that everybody likes, that belongs to like this childish, immature type of people. And I want people to make their own videos of it. Like, do research on it, find your own Mary Sue's. And the reason for it is because it's ruining movies. Like, it's ruining. People are using Mary Sue's to make shit sandwiches, so to speak. They're taking movies that would normally be really good movies, and they're applying the Mary Sue concept to it, and it ruins the movie. But yeah, that's my rant. That's how goats swim, butt backwards.
Did you know that goats are actually reptiles?
Found your homeless hobo orgy. Let's see if I can turn so much more fun if I wasn't ragged off. Ain't this great? The perfect Mary Sue. And now there's an invisible wall saying I can't leave. Look at me. So majestic. This messed up thing about water. You can't really tell if you're moving or not because water's always moving. But now I hit an invisible wall. There we go. I can kind of see the border. That is just perfect. How high does the invisible wall go? Does it go underwater? No. Don't want that one. Don't need the repulsive goat. Alright, I'm gonna have to learn these controls. Why do you have to swim ass backwards? It's just because of the jetpack, isn't it? Because you can't get any control over the jetpack, because if you could... let's see. And I guess that's it for this place. Anyway, I'd like to thank you all for watching my video. Well, right now I only got 1 subscriber, but I'm proud of my 1 subscriber. Let's see how much they want for this game. $5 for each of them. I'm good. But now I'm proud of my 1 subscriber. But thank you for watching. And like I said, the only reason why I want to get rid of the Mary Sues out of the comic books and everything else is because it ruins good stories. When you put like someone's fan-made fiction into, basically it's literal, it's masturbation. It's not good. But yeah, this has been Six Toe Wolf signing off, I guess.